independent reader's proposal was on philosophy, and it's a really big subject. I wasn't interested in like researching every single different kind of philosophy or where it stems from. What I was interested in is when people write, sometimes they write through an idea or a concept, and I was wondering how heavily their context of their lives affects the philosophies that they have. So I chose two books. I chose The Plague by Albert Camus, and I chose The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Couldn't tell you why, but The Plague I read the fall, over the summer, and I really liked it, and I knew there was going to be a lot there. The Metamorphosis, I read the synopsis, and I was like, good enough. Like, I'll go with it. So what's interesting about The Plague is it's narrated by a doctor anonymously over the city of Oran. You can kind of see up there. It's in like the 1920-ish, maybe a little earlier. And what happens is, through each of the different narrations of the accounts from different people, it just talks about how monotonous and boring the lives are of the people. And they're complaining about the plague and how inconvenient it is, but really their lives weren't that different from before. And something I found really interesting was, there's always the question of where did the rats come from? When the plague first strikes, there's dead rats everywhere. And each account of every different person in the story is told, it comes with a different answer. Oh, the rats were hungry, the rats are sick, you know, these are just pranksters and the rats are being put out here. But what was interesting is like, it was kind of a commentary on philosophy and how people assume things about lives that they don't really understand, and they're wrong. Now with The Metamorphosis, it's about a boy and he wakes up as a beetle. And he's kind of the sole supporter for his family, so he freaks out about not being able to work and support his family. But at first he's isolated, and then his family starts to take care of him a little bit, but then they realize what a burden he is. And what he's saying is he views himself as a very lonely person, like the character himself does. And what happens is, it's just sort of saying like, we're not perceived as how we really are. Because he wasn't really a part of their family before, he was just monetary value, and now that he's a beetle, he can't support that, so they want him to get rid of him. And you wonder why Franz Kafka is like that. And it's because he was a German-speaking Jew in Czechoslovakia, so he's a very isolated person. Two of his brothers died in infancy, and all three of his sisters died in the Holocaust. So he's just a lonely guy. Now these are Picasso paintings, and this is his best friend that ended up killing himself. So the 4 years following that, his paintings became very dark and deep, and he used a lot of blue shades that kind of represented like his sadness and depression. And what happened was he started doing it, people didn't like it, and then he started to be unsuccessful and poor, so that just got even worse. So none of this, you're probably wondering, you know, like, okay, Albert Camus, totally crazy guy, like, his dad died, he grew up poor with his half-deaf mother, so he can't find meaning in life. And then you have Franz Kafka, who is, again, like just that lonely dude in Picasso, brilliant artist, and he just happened to be influenced by a moment in his life. I know that doesn't really make sense, and I know you didn't read all those quotes, but the reason I put those up there is because sometimes it's not important how somebody's saying something or what they're saying. I think it's more important that sometimes you look up why people are saying things, and you'll find more context and more meaning behind what you're reading and looking at and studying.